Okay, let's talk about why connection is so critical in parenting. This might feel like kind of back to basics, and that's actually exactly why I want to talk about it and why it's so important. Before we dive in, if you're new here, I'm Dr. Catherine Endy, the family life coach, and I help parents of little kids feel calmer, more confident, and more connected to their kids so they can actually enjoy parenting. And I'm so glad you're here. Please take a moment to click the thumbs up if you like this video and also subscribe to this channel. I create these videos to support parents, and the more parents who subscribe, the more parents I can help. So you're not just helping yourself if you see my videos, you're actually helping other parents to see them too because the algorithm. So let's dive in and talk about connection. So connection is the basis of any relationship, right? And you are in a relationship with your growing humans. It's a part of parenting that often gets overlooked or that we don't talk about because we're so caught up in the day-to-day of the discipline and the boundary setting and all of that. But the truth is, end of the day, you are in a relationship with this person, and hopefully you'll be in a relationship with them for much, much longer when they are a grown up than now when they are little. So it's important that we focus on using connection to develop that relationship now. But actually, the first aspect of connection I want to talk about is the connection you have with yourself. The connection you have with yourself is first and foremost the most important thing, because at the end of the day, the primary relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. So how are we going to do that? We're going to pause and check in. How am I feeling? What do I need? How can I take care of myself? And being able to do this, being able to check in with yourself and maintain that connection to yourself is going to impact how you demonstrate to your child how they develop a relationship with themselves. I bet this isn't where you were expecting me to start, but the relationship that you have with yourself, again, it's that primary relationship, and how you relate to yourself has a ripple effect into how your child shows up for themselves and how they're going to show up in future relationships. So actually, your ability to pause and check in with yourself and tend to the relationship with you have with yourself is critical for future generations. Let's just leave it at that. It's pretty important. So being able to pause and check in with yourself and attend to your own needs, absolutely critical, not just for yourself, but for your child and your grandchildren and your grandchildren's spouses. Like, it really does ripple out like that. Secondly, focusing on connection with your child builds the relationship that you want to have with them in the long run. So again, this is the long game. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So we are developing a relationship with a human being that we are going to be in relationship with for a very, very long time to come. So making that connection builds that foundation for the relationship you want to have in the long run. Making that connection also makes it more likely that your child will do what you need them to do when you need them to do it. Because although we are in a relationship with them, we also are responsible for boundary setting and discipline and caring for their immediate needs, right? So the parenting part of parenting, the role of parenting. So we can do this in a way that nurtures the relationship at the same time. So this is not a foolproof method. It's not going to, be a discipline approach, but that is because humans are humans, right? You as the parent are not going to get your way every time. But by focusing on connection, it actually makes it more likely that your child is going to do what they are asked, and it preserves your relationship with them. So when we talk about connection, yes, we are going to talk about how to sort of use that to get your child to cooperate. But keep in mind that the end goal here is a relationship, not compliance. So when we focus on Connection, we're setting up circumstances that make it more likely that they're going to do what they are asked. It does not mean that we are using it as a form of control. It's actually the opposite of that, right? It's actually recognizing that like there's only so many things we have control over. And our connection to ourselves is the number one thing actually that we have control over. And we actually can't control our little people. But using connection as a way to kind of enhance the relationship and to get cooperation makes it more likely that they're going to do the thing we need them to do. And when we focus on connection, we are making a little investment into their love bank, right? If we want to use that metaphor. If all we're doing is placing demands on kids all day long and shuttling them all along to the next thing, and going from one thing to the next, pick up your toys, wash your hands for dinner, put your plate in the sink, brush your teeth, we skip the connecting part. And then we're missing the opportunity to be in relationship with our kid now. And then, we wonder when they get older, why they don't stay connected to us, why they don't want to talk to us, why they don't call us. It's because we're not putting in that time now. So to use the bank analogy, we are constantly making withdrawals without making any deposits if we are constantly placing demands and constantly shuttling them along to the next thing. So when we focus on connection while doing the day-to-day stuff of parenting, we're able to do both. So let's talk about what that looks like in practice. So I'll break it down for you into a few steps. Connect with yourself first. So check in, pause, take a breath. This doesn't have to take a long time. I get it. You don't have extra time. Totally understand that. But you do have 1 second to pause. And when you do, you're going to be able to learn to regulate yourself a little bit better. And that helps facilitate the connection with yourself and with your child. So just take a pause, take a breath, ask yourself, how am I feeling? What do I need? Do I need to do anything to regulate myself a little bit more before I connect with my child? Take care of that first. It might just be, I need to take a deep breath. It might be, I need to look out the window. It might be, I need to shake it off. Whatever it is, pause, do that thing. Then you're going to make a connection with your child. And this might be just simply saying their name and waiting until you have their attention. It might mean getting physically close to them, going into their space, going into the room where they're playing, getting down on their level. It might mean making a physical connection. So putting your hand on their arm, or maybe you start with a hug, or maybe you put your hand on their back, but using multiple different ways to form a connection. And this means that you can't just parent from the couch. Not that any of you are sitting around on the couch all the time, but you can't just call to them from the kitchen and say, it's time to pick up your toys. It's really important. And I understand it feels like it takes more time, but I promise you, you buy yourself more time on the other end if you take the time now to check in with yourself, make a connection with your child. And then you're going to acknowledge or take interest in what they are doing. So use the skill of observe and describe. And if you don't know what that is, you can check out my other video on this. We'll link it up in the description. But essentially, you're going to say something like, oh, wow, you're using so many colors in that drawing. Look at that. Look how tall that tower is. Wow. Or even, you're watching Bluey, or you're watching Peppa Pig. You might ask them some questions about what they're doing. How do you play this video game? How do you, tell me what, what's going on in this episode? So making a connection, taking an interest in what they are interested in, that shared attention and shared interest is a form of connection. And then once you've taken a few minutes, it doesn't have to take a long time, but it does require you to slow down a little bit, then place the demand. So frame it in terms of what you want them to do, not what you don't want them to do. And if they resist, which they might, because they're human and they might be tired or hungry or what have you, if they resist, offer empathy. That is a way to keep the connection. So that is a way to say, I know you would really love to keep watching television, but right now we need to turn it off and wash our hands for dinner. So those are some simple steps that you can take. Again, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And if you need additional support with parenting, please feel free to reach out. I would love to chat with you.